If you could sum into maybe one sentence why you think Shane Wright fell to fourth, let me know. Can you do that?
I think I think it has to do with this year and the ups and downs that he experienced and how those were navigated by him. I think Slafkovsky was very forthcoming with his weaknesses and addressed them better, whereas I think it rattled Shane Wright a little bit.
Okay, that's a good answer. Fair enough.
That's a great answer.
In fairness, Chad, I would say, and kind of, I think it goes in line with what Alan said. It had a lot to do with the other three guys than it did Shane Wright, in my mind. I think that they all stepped up huge this year. There's a few times where we heard Logan Cooley was going to go first overall. He's the most talented player in this draft. He's a little undersized, so we expect him to go third. And then Slafkovsky stepped up huge in the Olympics. And Simon Nemec, he's a defenseman. The Devils needed a defenseman. They didn't need another centerman, or they didn't want another centerman. You always need another one. So I was a little confused there. But I think it's a lot to do with the other three guys than it is Shane Wright.
Totally.
Yep.
And it's always easier to gain ground for that number one spot than it is to hold on to it. So those guys behind him, it's easier for them to catch him than it is for Shane Wright to hold on to it. All year they're like, Shane Wright's number one, Shane Wright's number one. Well, what else can you do after the consensus number one pick? Well, there's nowhere to go. Meanwhile, those other guys can all catch up to you.
Yeah, and I think, the best example of that is Nolan Patrick. He was the number one pick for the longest time. He sure had a huge World Juniors for Switzerland, and then he took a spot.
Yep.